What's up? Welcome to Models and Agents, episode 62 for May 28th, 2026. The AI world never sleeps. Here's what you need to know today. CoreWeave's new platform lets agents improve themselves between training and inference runs without manual retraining cycles. CoreWeave launched a unified agentic platform that closes the training-to-inference gap for continuous autonomous improvement. Perplexity open-sourced a Unigram tokenizer that cuts reranker latency 5 times versus Hugging Face. Multiple teams showed practical QWN 3.6 to 35 BA3 bin inference on single consumer GPUs with strong context handling. Builders should watch how these infrastructure and tooling shifts affect agent deployment costs this week. CoreWeave launched a unified agentic AI platform that enables continuous autonomous agent improvement by closing the training-to-inference gap. The system supports self-improvement loops where agents can iterate on their own outputs without requiring full retraining cycles. It targets production workloads where agents need to adapt in real time rather than waiting for scheduled fine-tuning runs. Teams building long-running autonomous systems can now test tighter feedback loops between inference results and model updates. Watch for how other inference providers respond with similar continuous improvement tooling. Perplexity released a written Unigram tokenizer that delivers 5 times lower P50 latency than the Hugging Face tokenizer's crate. It cuts production CPU utilization 5 to 6 times. The tokenizer targets reranker workloads where tokenization overhead previously dominated latency. It maintains compatibility with existing pipelines while reducing the CPU footprint for high-throughput search and retrieval tasks. Builders running re-ranking stages at scale should benchmark this drop-in replacement this week. A user demonstrated QWN 3.6 to 35B, A3B, APX, MTP, iCompact, running at 37 tokens per second generation with 72,000 context on a single RTX 360/12GB card. The setup uses Spirit Buin's CUDA fork and Muddler's Apex quantization. It offloads a 17.3GB model while keeping PPL at 3.25. The configuration achieves 100% needle in haystack retrieval up to 200,000 tokens. MTP heads hurt performance on this hardware and should be left disabled. Crass's version 1.0 added full Rust execution, 4-bit and 6-bit KV cache, and sensitivity-aware HQQ attention that mixes 4, 6, and 8-bit precision per layer. On an RTX 370 mobile 8GB card, it reaches 222 prompt tokens per second and 12.48 tokens per second generation for QET 3.6 to 35 BA3BQ4. The runtime now supports Ampere cards and reduces system RAM requirements to roughly 1 times model size plus overhead. Users running models that exceed VRAM should evaluate the new KV cache options. A diffusion-inspired framework for calibrated LLM as a judge evaluation was released, focused on safety-critical autonomous vehicle video assessment. It applies iterative denoising to stress-test judge pipelines and produce more reliable structured scores. The approach targets domains where single-pass LLM judgments are currently too noisy for production use. Teams building evaluation harnesses for multimodal agents can experiment with the denoising loop. Snowflake acquired Natomato expand governance capabilities for AI agents, focusing on MCP-based controls. The move adds agent-specific policy and oversight tooling to Snowflake's existing data platform. Enterprise teams already using Snowflake for data workloads gain a path to unified agent governance without additional vendors. Jordi AI closed a $30 million Series A to build security and control layers for enterprise AI agents. The funding targets the growing demand for guardrails around autonomous agent deployments. Companies evaluating agent platforms now have another funded option focused on runtime safety rather than core orchestration. Microsoft introduced new cloud PC offerings that place AI agents under enterprise policy and access controls. The update integrates agent execution into existing Windows endpoint management surfaces. Organizations already managing devices through Microsoft Intune can extend the same controls to agent workloads. Salesforce reported that its AI agents now handle more support volume than human teams in certain workflows. The agents operate inside existing Service Cloud routing and escalation paths. Companies using Salesforce support tooling can evaluate agent-first configurations without changing their CRM backend. Zaire replaced a standard ROFT network with its Z-cube flattened bipartite topology on a 1,000 GPU GLM 5.1 inference cluster. The change cut switch and optical module cost 33%. It raised throughput 15% and reduced P99 first token latency 40.6%, while keeping the same GPUs and model. The design specifically addresses asymmetric KV cache traffic created by prefill decode disaggregation. Teams running large-scale disaggregated inference should examine the topology details. A complete Colab notebook demonstrates building semantic, hybrid, sparse, and quantized vector search inside PostgreSQL with the PG vector extension. The guide covers extension compilation, psicop integration, sentence transformers embeddings, and index configuration. Developers wanting to avoid separate vector databases can run the notebook to test production-grade search inside an existing Postgres instance. Chwen released QJudger, a 27 billion vision language model fine-tuned to score text-to-image outputs across 5 top-level quality dimensions, with structured JSON output and chain-of-thought reasoning. The model supports fine-grained evaluation of realism, composition, anatomy, and safety attributes. Anyone building automated image generation pipelines now has an open judge model to integrate. A user shared a working stack using VLLM behind a Llama swap and LibreChat for multi-user access with API keys and HTTPS termination via Apache. The setup targets fewer than 10 concurrent users and highlights current concurrency limits in Llama swap. Teams needing simple self-hosted multi-tenant inference can adapt the described proxy and key management pattern. Okay, let's pop the hood on the network side of prefill decode disaggregation. Everyone treats prefill decode disaggregation as a simple split that just needs more GPUs. In practice, the KV cache handoff between prefill and decode nodes creates highly directional, bursty traffic that standard fat tree or rail-optimized topologies were never designed to carry. The prefill side generates large, contiguous KV blocks that must cross the network in a short window. Decode nodes request smaller, latency-sensitive slices on different schedules. This mismatch produces leaf switch hotspots and PFC backpressure even when aggregate bandwidth looks sufficient. Xai's flattened bipartite design removes the spine layer entirely, so every leaf pair has a direct path. It eliminates the static rail mapping that forces traffic through congested spines. The 33% hardware cost reduction and 40% tail latency improvement come directly from removing those forced hops rather than adding more bandwidth. When your decode cluster is larger than your prefill cluster, or when context lengths vary widely, the topology choice matters more than raw switch speed. The practical test is whether your first token P99 stays flat as you scale the decode pool. If it climbs, the network mapping is the next place to look. Run the Perplexity Unigram tokenizer in a ranker pipeline to measure the reported 5 times latency drop on your workload. Test Spirit Boon's fork plus Muddler's Apex Quanton QW-N3.6 to 35BE3B if you need 70,000 plus context on a 12 gigabyte card. Evaluate Crassus on an Amperel laptop GPU for models that previously required 2 cards. Add PG vector hybrid search to an existing Postgres application before reaching for a dedicated vector store. More inference providers are expected to announce continuous improvement loops similar to CoreWeave's platform. Additional open tokenizers targeting reranker and long context workloads are likely following Perplexity's release. Watch for further single GPU quantization results on the Qwen 3.6 family as the new forks mature. Tomorrow, keep an eye on additional single GPU quantization results for the Qwen 326 family. That wraps up today's AI briefing. Share this with a developer or builder who wants to stay current. Subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow. This episode used AI Voice's synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.